Well, people, it's another fine day here in Utah, and we have got something special for today. This is a 2011 KTM 450 XCW 6 Days edition that I just picked up on KSL the other day from a guy, and man, I cannot tell you how nice this thing is. It has about 67 hours on it, 1,400 miles. It has a Recluse auto clutch, and that's pretty much it, I guess. Mostly stock, but I mean, it is so clean. It does have these radiator braces on it too as well. I also got a pretty good little bag or a box of parts here. Skid plate. That skid plate actually looks pretty sweet. A few other things, you know. Oh, 2 skid plates. I didn't even notice that. The guy hooked me up. I don't lie. I mean, and he gave me the OEM clutch, which is freaking sweet because I may end up putting that in it if I'm being honest. We've got the original radiator louvers. Is this a tire pressure gauge? What? He gave me a tire pressure gauge too. Some oil filters, Tusk oil filters. Guy gave me some tire irons, a butt plug, and I even got some Maxima oil. The same oil I run. Good to know the guy was running some good oil through the gold barrel. The guy also hooked me up with a frickin' Tusk wheel and a paddle tire. I mean, that thing looks sweet with that orange hub. So honestly, it was a smoking deal. The thing even has brand new Tusk tires on it. Very low hours. It's got the orange frame. I mean, it is a beauty. I can't even tell you guys how nice this thing is. Anyway, I could talk about this thing all day, but I'll show you some of the parts we got for it. I went ahead and got a Race Tech bladder kit for the shock, which is gonna be sweet. We're gonna put that in this weekend, I think. Gonna put that in the shock. Got some grips for it. Got these lower bar clamps to replace what's on it now. It's got this ride engineering, I guess that's probably what that is, clamp on it. And I'm just gonna replace these bottom ones with the OEM KTM clamps, and I'm gonna go ahead and get a Scott's mount like that one and get a Scott stabilizer on it. So it's gonna have this same setup right here on it here in just a little while. Also, also from Rocky Mountain, I got a brand new front axle nut and a puller so that you can pull the axle out a little bit easier. I've never had one of those on my bikes before, but Damon rides for the 15X Norman Racing team, and they run them. He doesn't have it on this bike, but on his Husqvarna, he's got one, and I saw those, and I'm like, I need to get me one of those. So I got one. We're gonna try that thing out. I think that's gonna be sweet. Also, I noticed it was missing a fork guard bolt. So I got a couple more of those put in it, and yeah, I think that's about it. You can see this front axle bolt is a little bit messed up. I mean, not bad at all, but you know, I just like to get some nice new stuff on there. They're like $8 or something like that, so get a brand new one on there. And I think it's, yeah, you can see there. Oh, there we go. It's missing the bolt there, so I got a couple more of those just to put in it. Another interesting thing about it is it has these silver wheels on it, which are off of about a 13, 14-ish KTM. These bikes came with black wheels, and so that's a little bit weird. And so, another, like with these wheels, the brake rotor didn't have the magnet in it. So because these come with a magnet on the brake rotor so that the speedometer can read, and it wasn't reading. As you can see now, when I spin the tire, it turns on the speedometer because it senses that magnet. But before, when I first got it, it had this rotor on it, and you can see the magnet goes right here in this little hole. And so the bike did not have a rotor with a magnet, so it wasn't tracking miles, it wasn't tracking hours either. I don't think. I think that it uses that to track hours as well, so that's kind of interesting. So the bike did not actually have, you know, a rotor with a magnet, like I said, and so it wasn't tracking miles, you know, for who knows how long. And so that's kind of interesting, but got that fixed, and so it'll be tracking the miles now and all that. And had to loosen up the chain. The chain was a little bit tight when I got it. And the clutch needed some adjusting. I remember we adjusted the clutch a little bit, got it working. The clutch was actually slipping a little bit when I first went and got it. And so we were able to adjust it just enough so that it is putting the full power to the ground now. She's pretty dialed in now. There's a few more things we need to do. Gonna do the shock, like I said, get a spring on the shock, put that bladder kit in the shock, probably revalve the shock as well. I'm gonna leave the forks alone for now, maybe add some oil. I haven't even really ridden the thing yet, and so I don't really know what the suspension feels like yet. So the thing has pretty low gearing. It's actually got a 13 tooth front sprocket when these came with a 14. 1350 is what it's got on it right now, and it is pretty low geared. I'm gonna go ahead and put a 14 on the front, and I may leave the 50 for now and just see what it's like. I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and put a 48 on the rear. 1448 is what we usually run on the 530. Same engine, but on that 530 I usually ride down in Baja. We have 1448, and it's about right. This has the same transmission as that bike. So another thing is I'm looking at the oil, and I can't hardly see the oil in the sight glass. You know, I'm looking like down in here, and it's so dark. I'm like, I really can't see it. And I know it's got oil. I can see it right there. It's almost like it's over full by quite a bit. So I'm kind of worried to ride it. I almost want to just change the oil on it right now, just so I know how much oil is in it and all that, you know. Another thing I noticed is the forks are almost flush with the triple clamp. They're way down in the triple clamps. You know, I usually run them at about a second line or something. Or this one's at like the first line actually. But I think on that 530 that we've got, it's basically the same bike as this. We run them at the second line. So these are quite low in the clamps. That's going to make the bike be really stable at high speeds, but it's not going to want to turn very well with that. So I'm probably going to mess with that. I'll just leave it for now, but that's probably going to get adjusted. I'm going to put a new chain on it. This one looks okay, but you know, just put a new one on it so I know how much time it's got. Also, I'm going to get a Baja designed Squadron Pro headlight to put in this housing. It's about 380 bucks. You just plug it in and turn it on. It's ready to rock. So we'll be able to do some night riding in Baja with that. Another thing I'm going to do is flip this throttle around so it's coming out down here rather than up here like this one. As you can see, we like to do that because in case, you know, the bike goes cartwheeling down the road, there's no chance of this thing getting damaged by hitting the ground from the top here. When it's down here, it's a lot safer, and it's a more clean routing of your cables than having them right here in front of your, you know, that just is, we like to put them down there like that. So also it's got this XCW EXC muffler on it, which is great, but it's pretty quiet, and it kind of, I think it's got a spark arrestor in it, and it kind of chokes it down a little bit. So we like to run the SXF muffler and open it up a little bit, give it some nice sound, you know. And I've even got another muffler, a brand new version of this muffler that I'm actually going to try and see if it fits on that bike. And if I can maybe run one of these mufflers off of a newer bike, I may just do that. But yeah, people, that's a walk around in my 2011 KTM 450 XCW 6 days edition. Gonna get some gearing, do the suspension, maybe work on the clutch, get a stabilizer, and she should be ready to rock. I may get some bars, set of pro tapers on it. These ones don't feel bad, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna do some grips, levers, maybe change the handguards too to maybe an OEM KTM handguard similar to these. And the thing should be ready to rock. As far as my 350 goes, I'm waiting on a front brake bolt right now. I had to donate my front brake bolt to Norman Racing so that Damon actually was headed to a race and needed to borrow my front brake bolt, so I let him take it out of this bike. And it actually ended up causing a whole series of events because turns out I was swapping the brake system from this bike over to my 125 and back and forth basically, and I let my brother put my caliper on, and somehow the bolts didn't get tightened all the way, and I went about 2 laps on a motocross track and my front brake caliper came off. So it totally bent this, as you can see, that's bent to the side. My rotor got destroyed, as you can see, all the way around. Destroyed my rotor. It destroyed my brake caliper right here. Destroyed the pads in there. It was a whole shit show. But luckily I was able to find a brand new fork stub, and I've got this caliper support piece here, and I've got a new rotor that I got off of this bike. Doesn't have a magnet, but this bike doesn't need a magnet. So now I've got myself a rotor. We can go ahead and get the 350 all put back together and ready to rock and roll. The 125 is ready to rock and roll too. I'm trying to figure out some handguards. I would like to put these new style handguards on this bike. As you can see, they look pretty good. I don't mind that. I'm just gonna have to maybe do some modifications to try and get it to work. This front brake master cylinder is off of a 2018 KTM 350, similar to that one. But the clutch is from 2001, so this thing is a little bit of a mix match, but absolute beauty. We got 3 absolute beauties in the garage now, and you're going to be seeing more videos of that thing very soon, some onboard videos, so stay tuned. I forgot I gave the guy that I bought it from, I think his name was Ryan, and I actually gave him my YouTube, and I think he subscribed, so he may be seeing this. If you're watching this, thank you so much. Can't thank you enough. This is a really, really sweet bike, and I hope it's cool to be able to kind of keep up with it, even though it's not yours anymore. You know, we'll be able to kind of show you what's going on with it, and yeah, no, the guy was a really cool guy, and yeah, I mean, I freaking scored with this thing, so definitely more videos of this thing to come, and yeah, thank you for watching, people.